Hello, everyone. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the ELT conference that we have for the second time this year. My name is Hilal, and I'm working as a training operation manager at International Exam Center, and I'm also an English teacher. I'm sorry, we can't hear. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So before starting our conference, I would like to give you some brief information about International Exam Center. First of all, International Exam Center is an examination center accredited by IELT and Quality English. At International Exam Center, we aim to help learners reach their goals through the options we provide in the English language and offer assessment alternatives they might need to contribute to their learning journey. Combined with almost 30 years of experience in this field, we conduct exams with the demands of institutions and organizations that wish to measure foreign language proficiency in many schools all over Turkey. It is the goal of every educational institution and every individual to prove the process of learning a foreign language and to see and evaluate the development at the international level. Through the International Exam Center Placement Test, we measure the oral and written foreign language development of individuals and institutions for all age groups, from kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2 to university levels. Each of our exams is aligned with Quality English and the CECR, which means Common European Framework. Thus, all our work has international validity. In addition to knowing that the exam results are not just numbers, our exams certify the learner with a detailed and unique report that shows their strengths and weaknesses to help learners plan further. In the light of this data, students, educational institutions, and parents continue on their way, knowing what to do at the next level. As learning English is the most important step for individuals to become world citizens, we, International Exam Center, is in an effort to fulfill the mission we have undertaken in the most reliable and quality manner possible and provide excellence in your path of acquiring English. So today, with this Spotlight on Language Testing Conference, we aim to focus on testing and teaching with our esteemed teacher who are expert in her field and leading teacher of the generation, dear Nilüfer Pembecioglu. And I hope that everyone has pleasure and improves their knowledge and skills about testing today. But before I start, I want to make a clarification. As you know, one of our valuable speakers today was Gülfem Aslan, but last night we learned that she got sick. So unfortunately, she will not be with us today. We send our best wishes to her and we hope she gets better soon. So now I would like to introduce our speaker, dear Professor Dr. Nilüfer Pembecioglu. She is a very successful and exemplary educator in her field. She is a model education leader and having done research in many fields, such as social and human sciences, English and foreign language and teacher education, and so on. And we are honored and pleased to host her today. Dear Nilüfer Pembecioglu has been continuing her academic studies at Istanbul University, Faculty of Foreign Languages Education, and at the Department of Radio, Television, and Cinema of the Faculty of Communication since 1996. After completing her master's degree in English Assessment and Examination Procedures at Marmara University, she completed Cambridge University Royal Society of Arts Education and Istanbul University Health Institutions Management Programs. Nilüfer Pembecioglu has the title of Associate Professor in the field of Communication Sciences and the title of Mentor Teaching Training. So today she will talk about teaching and testing language skills. Dear Nilüfer Pembecioglu, welcome to our conference again, and thank you for being with us today. Now we will be happy to hear about your speech.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And it's a great pleasure to be here. I hope you can hear me perfectly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, and my best wishes to Gülfem Aslan. I hope she'll get better soon. And it's a great pleasure to be here again, I will say. We will be talking about a long journey. The journey is called learning journey. So I will try to summarize the things, what happens to us while we are learning and how can we test them. So with your permission, I would like to share my screen and start my presentation and invite you to such a journey so that we can hope to learn together, to discover together. And it's teaching and testing language skills. While we are learning, we don't realize that we are learning. And while we are teaching on purpose. Sometimes we are testing and we know why we are testing. So for sure, testing is the most important one regarding all these things. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to International Exam Center for making this meeting possible and sharing this knowledge and experience is only possible through their attempts and initiations. So thanks to them a lot. I will be talking about the basic concepts. You all know what is learning, what is language, and what is language learning, how it's different from other types of learning, what's EFL, English as a foreign language, and we need to concentrate on learning assumptions or theories to define learning because each of them are defining learning in a different way. And now we will be concentrating on what is testing and what are the language skills and how can we test them. So in its basic definition, we may assume that learning has been defined functionally as changes in behavior, that you have to behave, you have to act, that result from your experience, or mechanistically as changes in the organism that result from experience. So in each definition, we have the idea of experience. That means that we are the subjects to learn, but we need a subject to learn. So that subject is really very important for us. So we're going to be testing it later on. And we also need some experience and learning situation. And these are also very important. What is an experience and what is a learning situation? So we need to create them in the classroom if it's not there. So we need functional and practical observable results in order to prove that learning is occurring in classroom or out of the classroom, in our brain, in our habits, in our functions, etc. So we need to convince the others that we are learning. So these are really very abstract terms that, but we have something very concrete, test results. Test result is the proof of learning, proof of experience, and proof of change. Without the test results, you cannot convince the others that you are learning. So this is really very important. That's why we are talking about testing. And later on, we might concentrate a little bit about our brain regarding learning theories because we experienced a lot of them. First, we started with behaviorism, believing that everything is reflected through the behaviors. And then we concentrated on cognitivism, we concentrated on social learning theory, social constructivism, multiple intelligences, brain-based learning, and individualized learning. Now we give up learning because we don't learn anything at all because nobody is aiming to learn something. They just collect information from here and there. So if learning is a way, if it's a process or if it's a product, it's still under discussion because we don't know how we learn and how people can learn. Somebody learns in this way, some other person can learn it in another way. That's why we need to be flexible in regarding the learning theories. So when it comes to testing, that's much more crucial because Testing is a science, actually, and it's an interdisciplinary issue regarding the application and interpretation processes, requiring reliability, validity, objectivity, data, and score interpretation, etc. So it's a real fact in front of us. It's a multidisciplinary area. Looking for someone or something specific, it's just looking for zeros or +1. Just like a computer thing. The action or process of testing or checking someone or something, it might be kind of a linear approach, or it might be a cyclical approach. You may test it again and again. It's all depending upon what you're testing and why you are doing that. Testing could also be understood as a kind of a person revealing the person's capabilities by putting them under strain, creating challenging conditions, hierarchy to assess their success. So yeah, you are good, but he is better, but she is the best one. You can have some standardized information regarding your testing results. So testing is becoming more and more important nowadays because people believe that they can test and understand the capacity and the function of the skills that we have learned already. So depending upon our strategies, we will be considering testing in a different way. Most of the learning approaches dwell on structured, curriculum-based, linear learning strategies rather than peripheral learning. But I assume that peripheral learning is really very, very important because that means most of the testing types dwell on learning approaches, since how we learn matters in testing. They aim to assess the structural concordance rather than the communicative value of the language. So we need to understand why we are testing and how we are testing, what we are testing. So I will get back to those red letters later on. And in classroom situation, we need to be considerate. We have so many different considerations regarding, for example, accessibility, regarding participation, attention, interactivity, success, economy, equality, they are all important. When you put the people into the classroom and when you expect them to learn something there, this is a really tough job. You are all teachers and you understand what I mean. You have all those considerations and then you concentrate on the realities and you have to cope up with them all. It's not easy, I know, but it's not that difficult either. So if we get back to our topic again and then concentrate on language skills, we have listening, speaking, reading, and writing. That's all, just 4 language skills. But the idea is just how to make use of them, how often do we make use of them, how functionally or skillfully we make use of them. That's really very important. And why are we concentrating on the usage? Because we are going to be concentrating on testing later on. Because if we don't use them, we cannot test them. Here we have a problem actually, because each person's distribution of all language abilities varies greatly. Those who succeed at one skill might not be similarly competent at the other. So the level of achievement of skills can change over time for reasons such as attention, health, habits, and education. The only thing that does not change is this: the habits one has acquired in his mother tongue or her mother tongue. And these are called to be the transformational skills. That means that they transform the same mother tongue skills into English foreign language. English is a foreign language. So in other words, you cannot expect an individual with a slow reading speed in their mother tongue to be a super reader in a foreign language. Or it's impossible for a child who cannot fulfill basic motor skills with the instructions in the mother tongue to understand and fulfill them in a foreign language. So we need to empower the mother tongue first, and then the skills in mother tongue, and then comes the foreign language skills. So when we are testing, this is a very common process that we come across with the questions, if they can do it in their own language or not, so that we can expect them to be done to achieve in the foreign language. We have another problem here regarding testing. Language is a medium, but in language, it's so complex. We have utterances, we have the language itself, we have different languages, we have forms and structures and substances, and then we can create the meaning to communicate with the others. And each brain has a unique way of doing all these things, handling different things. So in all here, utterances, language section, forms and structure, we have a different point of view, so that we need to be selective. But selective regarding what? Since language is a kind of a cultivation of values, of images, of social structures, and it's a way of implementing organizational levels, economic perspectives, future success, moods, hopes, and fears. They are all cultivated by society and media. So in fact, we are not generating our own words when we are talking or when we are choosing the language elements. We are just making the archive elements so that it's easy for us. So it saves time, it saves energy. It does not require any kind of transformation or generative thinking, so that you can make use of them. How about our perceptions, emotions, and information? Because they are all related with how we see the world, how we see and accept the things, the values, the images, and all the other things. How the cultivated language is reflecting us. You see that a new generation does not concentrate on our words. They sing different songs, they follow different tunes, they use a different language. So generations have their own choices and their perceptions, emotions, and information. And the way they make use of it is really very incredible. They change their rules. So we can sum up that language offers you combinations and permutations. It offers us vocabulary and concept spaces, but from them, you choose. It's nice to be choosy. Sorry. But depending upon what you choose, you will be hiding it in a different way. So we have the perception here. In each child, there's a different way of perception, and his brain or her brain is coding the information in a different way, putting it in a kind of an archive to be kept for a lifetime. So we have visualization. And visual information is very important because the human brain in general has the ability to archive what it sees so that it's never forgotten. So we will always remember the visuals. Here we don't know what information is recorded behind that door, or which door is opening up which kind of knowledge. So we have our brain and it's full of information, but we don't know if they are connected to each other or not. So in order to figure out what we know, we need to recollect the information, talk to somebody else, or as teachers, we need to create situations to elicit what they know. And if they can talk and give us some kind of confidence that they know something or they've learned that, etc. So this could be a good opportunity to correct any misleading attributions or any grammar mistakes or any other type of mistakes. So we produce something or we produce meaning or parts of language. It might be just a repetition of the others because we heard them from some other people and we repeat them. It might be the reappearance of a previously learned item. For example, you can sing a song of your grandmother's time. It might be just a part of the culture that's fashionable nowadays. It might be something we saw in the media. It's really very pop culture. So it might be a kind of a colloquial usage or pronunciation. When you go back to your hometown, you speak in a different way, and then when you come back to Istanbul, you speak in a different way, etc. So it might be a new word concept that we would like to practice, and we would like to be seen modern enough. For example, have you ever had a look at the buzzwords of 2022? Slowmadism, baby bust, well-being, or almond mom, or goblin mode, etc. So these are the new things that you should learn, perhaps, because your kids will be talking about them. And each new concept will be bringing us a new idea, a new treasure to make use of it. So we will be talking about them, and then we will be producing new sentences with them or thinking in a different way. So we believe that technology is helping us a lot, even if sometimes we consider it's a kind of a social alienation leading activity or not, but we have the subject there in front of us, we have the experience there under a controlled atmosphere, and we have the learning situation, so that in front of the computer, we can understand whether they learned or not, because they can act. They don't speak at all. You see, they only implement the rules, do the things in the game, for example, or turn pages or seek for some information, etc. So we can observe them, and then we can understand them. It's a new way of testing, perhaps, to understand how far they can make use of their information. Technology and language skills, sometimes they don't go together because we have some gaps regarding technology. If it's some kind of banning speaking or having some side effects, because it produces lots of adrenaline, and then you need to cope up with the daily life, and then you get bored, of course. So as a teacher, you must stay updated with technology if you are going to keep our students' interest and attention. We must communicate with them in a way that both meets their needs as learners and goes above and beyond the requirements of the curriculum. Technology improves performance and should infuse the differentiating instruction classroom. So this is a new term. You have to be coping up with it, because you need to differentiate your teaching and learning style depending upon each different student. In 2006 Horizon report, they stated that electronic books will be appearing in less than a year. Yes, we had them, but how many of you had the addiction to electronic books? None, because they don't read books, neither electronic nor normal books. Mobile accessories in less than a year, they said. Yes, now we have mobile watches, and then we have so many instruments making the things easier. Virtual or augmented reality will be arriving in less than 2 and 3 years. Yes, we have them all. We have the glasses, and then we go into the deeper senses of films, etc. We have improved game-based learning, yes, and we have movement-based learning, yes, and we have now immersive media and learning analytical thinking. And we are experiencing it in nowadays. So it's 2023 now. We all passed these stages. And the future software were introduced by 2008 Horizon report. They said that we will be having grassroots video, collaboration webs, collective intelligence, collaborative data warehouses, and we have smart boards, interactive whiteboards with pads for students. We have here bamboo tablets, such as touch sensitive ones, using arts and picture editing for projects, providing us technology, writing, printing, and it comes into the classroom with a kind of a software so that you can produce more. So we have virtual reality game systems and smart objects such as stiftables. I would like to share some more information about stiftables, so that it's just a 6 minutes video. I hope you enjoy it.
I want to start by asking you to think back to when you were a kid playing with blocks. As you figured out how to reach out and grasp, pick them up and move them around, you were actually learning how to think and solve problems by understanding and manipulating spatial relationships. Spatial reasoning is deeply connected to how we understand a lot of the world around us. So as a computer scientist, inspired by this utility of our interactions with physical objects, along with my advisor, Patty, and my collaborator, Jeevan Kalanithi, I started to wonder, what if when we use a computer, instead of having this one mouse cursor that was like a digital fingertip moving around a flat desktop, what if we could reach in with both hands and grasp information physically, arranging it the way we wanted? This question was so compelling that we decided to explore the answer by building siftables. In a nutshell, a siftable is an interactive computer the size of a cookie. They're able to be moved around by hand. They can sense each other, they can sense their motion, and they have a screen and a wireless radio. But most importantly, they're physical. So like the blocks, you can move them just by reaching out and grasping. And the siftables are an example of a new ecosystem of tools for manipulating digital information. And as these tools become more physical, more aware of their motion, aware of each other, and aware of the nuance of how we move them, we can start to explore some new and fun interaction styles. So I'm going to start with some simple examples. This siftable is configured to show video. And if I tilt it in one direction, it'll roll the video this way. If I tilt it the other way, it rolls it backwards. And these interactive portraits are aware of each other. So if I put them next to each other, they get interested. If they get surrounded, they notice that too, might get a little flustered. And they can also sense their motion and tilt. So one of the interesting implications on interaction we started to realize was that we could use everyday gestures on data, like pouring a color the way we might pour a liquid. So in this case, we've got 3 siftables configured to be paint buckets, and I can use them to pour color into that central one where they get mixed. If we overshoot, we can pour a little bit back. There are also some neat possibilities for education, like language, math, and logic games, where we want to give people the ability to try things quickly and view the results immediately. So here this is a Fibonacci sequence that I'm making with a simple equation program. Here we have a word game that's kind of like a mashup between Scrabble and Boggle. Basically, in every round, you get a randomly assigned letter on each siftable. And as you try to make words, it checks against the dictionary. Then after about 30 seconds, it reshuffles and you have a new set of letters and new possibilities to try. Thank you. So these are some kids that came on a field trip to the media lab, and I managed to get them to try it out and shoot a video. They really loved it. And one of the interesting things about this kind of application is that you don't have to give people many instructions. All I have to say is make words, and they know exactly what to do. So here's another few people trying it out. That's our youngest beta tester down there on the right. Turns out all he wanted to do was to stack the siftables up. So to him, they were just blocks. Now this is an interactive cartoon application. And we wanted to build a learning tool for language learners. And this is Felix, actually. And he can bring new characters into the scene just by lifting the siftables off the table that have that character shown on them. Here he's bringing the sun out.
The sun is rising.
Now he's brought a tractor into the scene.
The orange tractor.
Yeah.
So by shaking the siftables and putting them next to each other, he can make the characters interact, inventing his own narrative.
Hello.
It's an open-ended story, and he gets to decide how it unfolds.
Fly away, cat.
So the last example I have time to show you today is a music sequencing and live performance tool that we built recently, in which siftables act as sounds like lead, bass, and drums. Each of these has 4 different variations. You get to choose which one you want to use, and you can inject these sounds into a sequence that you can assemble into the pattern that you want. And you inject it by just bumping up the sound siftable against the sequence siftable. There are effects that you can control live, like reverb and filter, You attach it to a particular sound and then tilt to adjust it. And then overall effects like tempo and volume that apply to the entire sequence. So let's have a look. Start by putting a lead into 2 sequence shiftables, so arrange them into a series, extend it, add a little more lead. Now I put a bass line in. Now I'll put some percussion in. Now I'll attach the filter to the drum so I can control the effect live. I can speed up the whole sequence by tilting the tempo to one way or the other. And now I'll attach the filter to the bass for some more expression. I can rearrange the sequence while it plays. I don't have to plan it out in advance, but I can improvise, changing it, making it longer or shorter as I go. And now finally, I can fade the whole sequence out using the volume shiftable tilted to the left. Thank you. So, as you can see, my passion is for making new human-computer interfaces that are a better match to the ways our brains and bodies work. And today, I had time to show you one point in this new design space and a few of the possibilities that we're working to bring out of the laboratory. So the thought I want to leave you with is that we're on the cusp of this new generation of tools for interacting with digital media that are going to bring information into our world on our terms. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking with all of you.
So you see how promising future is coming and why we need to concentrate on different things in our classes and how our children will be learning things in a different way, a highly different way from us. According to the new approaches, e-learning is becoming most accepted and approved and applied technique among all the other innovative technologies around the world. So we may accept this kind of learning as a kind of an e-learning or not, but we know that the participants may take place in class through their robots, and it would be difficult to test, for example, their speaking skills, since we cannot be sure if they are the ones talking or if it's their robot, or that would be really very difficult for us to see in terms of testing. For example, regarding the technology, tomorrow we have hardware, smart boards, tables, and a video on teacher tube. We have interactive learning center for the primary classrooms. We have multi-point, inherent, easy to use equipment. We have download applications and activities for smart take home. And we have all those kind of visual, kinesthetic, and auditory learners, differentiated classroom, interactive lessons, and we can give them support and feedback immediately. They can learn the things in a kind of a quicker way. So we can also make them use it all for social studies, for language arts, science, math, geography related. As I told you before, that is a kind of an interdisciplinary approach, so that learning is becoming more interdisciplinary and testing is also becoming more interdisciplinary. And we have sensory immersion, present, abstract, symbolic data, intangible forms, and it's leading to our classes after all. And well, we're a little bit confused. When we want to sum up the things, we must keep up with the interests and needs of our students. In fact, we need to see the value of new technology and vocabulary. We need to know how to use it to their benefit. We need to make the learning a hands-on, authentic, interesting, and enjoyable experience. We may look toward up to new ideas, new applications, new strategies of learning. We might get used to coming technological innovations. We need some quick transitions. We need to understand not the whole message, but the gist of the meaning. We have few technologically advanced educators, administrators, or policymakers that can recognize the importance of technology. Grants and donations are required in such cases. We need to be university trained and provided professional development. We need to have an achieved set of software and informational tools that is education based and easy to navigate, such as Thinkcom or Wikipedia. Even if they are all referring to the word of experience here, experience is changing because we need to talk to each other more than ever. We need to share our experience with each other in its minute details, because experience is making us a couple, a pair, or making us different from each other. So in order to concentrate on experience, we need to understand some other facts. What are they? How the brain works, for example, in learning stages. We see the words, we hear the words, we speak the words, we generate words. What does it mean? So seeing is reading, as you can understand, and visualizing or perceiving the things. Hearing is listening, and speaking is just speaking. Perhaps it's not more than repetition, not just like a parrot, of course, but just everyday language and then the functional part of it. But when it comes to generating words, making up your own words, own structures, own story, for example, you are writing your own text, either in a written part or in a spoken part. You have generating it. But what's the problem here? The problem is that they do not dwell on the equal balance. For example, we spend only 17% of our daily time regarding seeing words. We don't spend so much time in seeing or reading, etc. But we spend more than half of the time for hearing words. We are good listeners. We are listening to each other as much as the media. We are not that much good speakers because we spend only 16% of our daily life to speaking. And when it comes to original speaking or original writing especially, it's only 14%. So what does that mean? That we cannot test them with the same type of testing elements. We cannot evaluate them in the same way because we do not make use of them in the same way. We are making use of listening skills more than anything else. So perhaps we should first concentrate on listening tests, because 21% of it is face-to-face listening and 32% of it is the media type of listening. But that means that it's not structured. It is peripheral learning. We do not learn in the classroom. We learn in occasions, we learn in experience, we learn through the materials, we learn through technology and media, etc. So this part is gaining much more importance than the other parts. So that means that we should give a very important perspective to listening skills and listening tests. That is the main data here. Because we have so many different types of brains. Each brain is a unique one, and there are about 1 billion neurons in our brain, in human brain in general. And each of these neurons make an average of 1,000 connections. And then it means that about 1,000 potential snaps, and they can collect information, and each snap will be referring a different type of information. And it means that we have a huge data in our brain. And in fact, we don't know what we really know. It's so much that we cannot remember these things. So how we are going to be testing them if we cannot remember them? Because remembering the learned item or learning experience is another skill to be developed. But the kids are so serial that they are learning in a kind of a haste, and then they learn very quickly and they forget very quickly. So if we concentrate on the elapsed time since learning, we either learn and immediately forget about it in 20 minutes, in an hour, 9 hours later, or 2 days later, 6 days later, we forget it. So the information should be new or valuable so that it could stay stable in our brain, so that our synapse could remember it and then could form other information through or around that new part of information. So which part of the old information would be encountering the new information is somewhat unknown. We don't know. What kind of value would be attributed to the new information is unknown. So if learning will occur or not is unclear. You may come across with a new word, for example. Okay, but you just skip it. You don't learn. It's your choice. If it will be a temporary or permanent memory, it's unknown. Which skill will be associated with that part of learning is unknown. Did you learn it through reading, writing, speaking, listening? And later on, how did you transfer this skill to attribute on this new learned item is unknown. So the information load is so high that we don't have a specific subject to learn. So most of the learning is just in the form of peripheral learning. Well, then, should we test the peripheral learning items first rather than the big and important grammar rules or functions, etc.? That's the main question just lying in front of us, because our learning styles are changing. What we learn is changing. The way we use what we learn is changing. The importance we place or attribute on our skills differ each time, and we devote each skill a different timing every day. So today I didn't listen to you very much because I was reading a book, but tomorrow I finish my book and I will be ready to listen to you. Then we can talk more. So the attributive value will be changing. That's why our testing formats also need to change. We need interactive testing rather than the static ones. And the way we view and interpret test results must change as well. That's what parents should learn about it, what all the teachers should learn about it, that we cannot rely upon the test results more than anything else, because learning is kind of an activity which will be going on throughout a lifetime. But test result will be just a test result. It's just a photo of the moment, but the film is going on. And so we need to understand and interpret the test results depending upon this kind of a perspective. Integrative testing approaches should be activated because we cannot test skills in an isolated manner. In films, you've seen so many kids, they were talking to each other, but they were learning at the same time. They were observing each other, but they were learning. So don't talk too much, concentrate on the course, silence please, etc. That type of prompt is leaving us. We have a very important question. Which skill is more important to be tested when it's foreign language test is important? Because we've seen that grammar, writing a composition, listening tests, writing tests, speaking or reading tests, it will be depending upon the student. How much do they make use of it in their own daily life? How much time do they devote to improve that skill in their mother tongue so that they can express or transfer the things they know into a foreign language environment? Do you think that we should test the language skills separately or in an isolated way? Well, why? You should be very clear about that. What if the child passes one of the skills and fails the other? So we know that the skills won't be in an equally based approach they will not be developing in the same way, and they won't be used in the same way in the real life. So why testing them as if they are the same? So that's another question. Do you think that we should test the language skills in an integrated way? And how could it be possible? Well, that would be the main question. Then I think rather than applying discrete point tests, we should be concentrating on the wholeness of humanity. And if that human being is just functioning in the right way or not. And I think that's all what I could share with you. And I'm ready for your questions. And if I have any answers, that will be the end of my topic. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, dear Nilüfer Pembecioglu, it was amazing to hear about your topic. And of course, it was very informative for all of us. So I'm sure that all of our participants enjoyed it today. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thank you.
Okay. So, and lastly, thank you so much, everyone who participated. I hope all of you had a great time with us today. So we were honored by dearest Nilüfer Pembecioglu. I would like to thank you on behalf of International Exam Center for joining us today. So, dear participants, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. You can find our email address and number on the screen right now. It's coming. Okay. You can contact with us anytime. So I hope we can meet again. I wish you a wonderful weekend and please take care. Thank you.